くないのを求めてるのはそっちじゃん。鏡見て研究してミリ単位で調律、目の細め方。
なんだあの赤ん坊、おたげ打ってるぞ。ミュージとは思えないキレ。う
ちの子、キャー。
I gotta be honest, I would be hard pressed to imagine a creator, a YouTuber, a TikToker, even an editorial website that writes a blog or a article piece on Oshinoko, and imagine them writing something negative, especially about the opening of Oshinoko. Dogo Kobo, which is the studio behind this, which has been the studio behind things like one of my favorite animes of all time, like Monthly Girls, Nozaki-kun, and the more recent Shikamori's Not Just a Cutie, which means that they have some serious chops. I would be hard-pressed to imagine anybody, like I said, writing anything negative, and it's because Studio Dogo Kobo gave us a freaking movie for episode number 1. I think this has been one of the best showings of a first initial impression of an anime in quite a long time. Now, we've gotten extended episodes before. If I think of another anime recently, like I think it was what was the anime called? It was like a Re-Life. No, not Re-Life. It was an anime about a guy who basically like he doesn't die, but he goes back in time and he relives his life once again. And that opening episode was about 45 minutes. So there are many anime out there who give us like 2 episodes in one. But they're few and far between. Like none of them have happened spring season. This has been the only one. I don't remember any opening for the winter season. So they are few and far between, but they do happen every now and then. But this specific episode was literally a movie, and although it wasn't perfect, and there are some things that I didn't like about it, because it was basically because it was a 2-hour movie, because it was it was 1 hour and 20 minutes, so it was 80 minutes, so it was like an 80-minute runtime, right? So because it was a pretty long episode 1, there were some moments in there that were just, kind of, very talky, a little boring and stuff. But for the most part, the meat and potatoes of it were, like, Gordon Ramsay would say, like, yeah, that's 5 stars, baby. Like, we were all eating good. And I think by the end of the episode as well, where we kind of get the, I don't want to call it a twist. I mean, you could kind of see it coming. And the specific twist, had to do at the phone booth, and at the phone booth, when there's a specific moment of an address being given away, it kind of clicked for me at that point. Like I could see the writing, on the wall, not to the level of what we got, which was the murderous intent. But not to that point. I did not see that coming, but I did see the writing on the wall of, oh, something's about to go down here, and it threw me for a loop. Now, the other thing I will admit is I stayed pretty, it's hard out here these days, but, your boy Virgin went in. I didn't even read the synopsis, The only synopsis that I really read was during the initial spring season, the one that was on Life Chart. But I didn't read anything past that. And I didn't even realize that this had the psychological mystery drama. Well, I think I know it had drama, but I didn't know it had psychological or mystery elements to it. So the past couple of things that happened at the end kind of like caught me by surprise a little bit. Now, I'm going to be ruining a lot of the different things. I'm going to be spoiling. It's impossible not to. So I was trying to remain kind of coy with a few of the things, but from here on, I'm just going to lay it all out, okay? So here's your moment to say, should you watch it? Absolutely, you should watch it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. And I think if you like psychological thrillers, I think that you definitely should give this one a shot. Now, I'm going to go full tilt spoilers. So, I think there's 2 things that I really want to call out. That I want to make sure that I, before anything else, that I call these specific 2 things out. I think there is some definite I think the two most important things that I think it's going to carry past episode 1 or past this movie is, one, the doctor, which is Aqua. At some point, he had looked up if his body had been found. His body was never retrieved, which means that at some point, if we look at the footage, if you look at the movie, if you look at the episode, we do see that the stalker guy went back, or somebody went back and witnessed that his body was there and he was, dying or dead. So I'm guessing that body was moved somewhere. He wasn't allowed just to die and just remain there because the body was never found. So I think that is an important thing. Now, the thing that kind of throws me for a loop is there was such a dramatic time jump at the end where they basically go from like 4 years old, 3 years old to like 15 or 16. They go from babies to high school. So there was like a 12 year gap that the anime just said, we're going to spend 80 minutes to cover Ai and her whole arc. But those kids, 11 years, don't worry about it. We'll cover it in some flashbacks, bro. We got you. And that was like, I didn't like that very much. But regardless, so that moment stood out to me of his body not being retrieved. And, is there some mystery there and everything else? I'd be hard-pressed, again, to imagine a world where the police are that awful that they just said, "Oh yeah, he killed her and it was a suicide, and we're gonna throw all of his other stuff away." I can't imagine that the Japanese government issued police folks, investigators are that terrible at their jobs. But let's say that they are, and now he has to uncover this. I think that's one big mystery. And the other big mystery, to me, with this being a mystery anime, is the whole father stuff. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, she got knocked up at 16 years old. And, somebody's a father. We have to assume that he's in the industry, as well as most idols, actors, and stuff. They kind of, for the most part, I would say 90% of them remain, their relationships remain in industry. Actor with singer, singer with actor, blah, 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 blah. It's all, famous folk. Some small percentage of people do go outside of that, but it's very rare. So, he's either an actor or an idol himself or a singer or something. So, we need to know more about him. We need to know if, who knew about him. You can only hide so much, and then, what was his intent really, with just trying to kill Ai completely, you know what I mean? Like, so what was his final goal and intent and stuff? So I know we're going to learn more about that as everything kind of comes through. I've killed a lot of time here already, but there was just so much else in the episode, but I definitely wanted to cover those two main things. The other things, visuals are they killed it. They knocked it out the park. This is a beautifully stunning, anime. It's visually appealing, visually pleasing. The things that they're doing with their eyes, with Ai, as well as the kids, it's just visually appealing. Music is good. Ambience that they set is good. Transition work is good. Like, I think that this is like Dogo Kobo went all of our budget into this one, and I think they, it's the anime is going to succeed because of that. So I love that. From a story point, I love how the doctor basically became a fan of her originally because he had a patient who was dying and she was a fan, so he kind of like absorbed her fanhood, but then also just simply became a fan himself. I like that the girl that ended up dying actually was reincarnated alongside him as well. I'm surprised again in this 11-year, the first 3-4 year span, as well as the 11-year span, that he hasn't figured out or they haven't revealed, to each other who they were yet, which just seems absolutely insane to me because they would probably benefit both from knowing that information. He called her name on accident once. She kind of responded. He's sharp enough. He's a sharp dude to kind of put two and two together. So I was kind of like, let's get that going. That never really happened, And I'm surprised by her mannerisms and tendencies and her child. She's a child, she was a child, 12 years old in hospital. She never got a chance to grow up. She was a child, and all of her tendencies indicated that she was a child, and he was a 30-plus-year-old man. You would figure that he'd be able to put together that she wasn't an adult in her past life. She was, in fact, a child. But again, I will. That's one of the things that, nitpicks behind it. Again, I'm gonna give this 8.5 out of 10. There's a 1.5 that's part of this here. Some of the other things that the anime made them apparent, so I have to call them out. She didn't show up to her doctor visit till 20 weeks pregnant, and then they were contemplating whether she wanted to do it or not. There's no choice after 20 weeks. Like the babies are only potentially 12 weeks out from being able to be birthed, maybe even less if they're preemie and stuff. She didn't give birth to them until 40 weeks, which meant she went completely full term, which I thought that was pretty crazy too, that she went completely full term in her pregnancy as well. Also, they didn't decide to move her here until 20 weeks out, so it's like, okay, you would think her manager and you would think she would know she was pregnant way before 20 weeks, probably within the first, honestly, 2 to 8 weeks, somewhere around there, to where maybe you could still do something about it if you want to go down that avenue. And I would assume with her manager being kind of crazy and very on hands that he would have made things kind of happen a little quicker. But hey, regardless, that's one of the things we're just going to have to, I'm personally just going to have to let go. I like how the kids started talking early. One thing I didn't like was they pretended to be gods, in front of their babysitter to, get her to not squeal and get her on the right track and stuff. But then they just continued to casually talk to her forever. So it's like, did they just kind of continue the god role? Because it was just so weird that they were like, oh, I'm gods. Babies can't talk. And she's like, oh, babies can't talk. And then they just kept talking to her. I was like, are they never going to are they never going to hint on that? Are they never going to reveal anything there? Or they're just gonna say, oh, we continue to be God? Like, what the hell happened there? That one kind of threw me for a loop as well too. I like how Aqua's name was a precocious baby. I like how at the end he got the manager to work closer to him. So obviously we're probably going to find out more. Maybe he became an actor. Maybe he became in the industry. He definitely needs to be in the industry now so he can weed out a guy who's in the industry. But then the other part of it too is now 11 years has passed. So Papa Bear isn't 16, 17, 20, however old the guy was. He's 11 years older now. So whoever the killer father is, he's going to be maybe in his 30s at this point, if not a little bit older. So in that whole thing too, so we're going to have to find that out. And then, overall, let me just wrap this up. I'll just say the whole Ai thing with her finally finding love, searching for love, and finding it within her kids, finally be able to say it. I was hoping that Aqua would finally call her mom and stuff, too. He just continued to call her Ai even when she died. I was hoping that he would use his skills as a fucking doctor. Oops. Don't take this video down, YouTube. But I was hoping that he would use his skill as a doctor to maybe, suppress her bleeding or just, do anything. I know he was a baby, but at this point, hey, you're out, bro. You're about to save your moms. So that, that was that. But I do like how she was searching for love. She was trying to make a lie a reality. I don't like that she talked to her stalker, but whatever. I like how she didn't remember who he was, so he felt completely terrible. He offed himself, whatever. And I like how she did eventually find love, and it was very sad that she actually did end up dying for it. All right, I've gotten this is the longest video I've put out there, and honestly, I have 3 pages of notes, and there's so much else that I could hit on, from things that I thought could be better, from things that I thought were really excellent, from things that I can imagine happening, and I'm going to leave that all on the table, and I'll just talk about it more as the season kind of unfolds a little bit more, because there's going to be a lot here, but I'm excited for where it's coming. I think it's going to be one of the best anime of the season for sure, easily top 5. I do think there's a couple of anime that I still preference over this, but I think this is one of the best initial showings of an anime. Easily top 3 is probably the second best showing of an initial episode this season for sure. And it was an 80-minute episode, no complaints. All right, let me know what you thought if you watched it. If you haven't, let me know I'm sorry I ruined most of the episode, but let me know if you're gonna watch it now after watching this. For those who are familiar with the source, don't ruin anything, but definitely shout out your opinion in the comments. If you have nothing to say, drop me an emoji. And I will see you guys, more than likely, depending on how this video does, I'll see you guys next week for episode 2. All right, one love. Peace out, guys.